this elevator, that's precisely what I've heard as well, and that's ultimately why Disney are a bunch of fuckers. I'll speak about it in a minute. That's quite enough of that music. It's a tantalising tune, but that's quite enough for me. Hello and welcome to this Thursday's Movie News. I am Jonathan C.P. Walsh. Yes, I just put my confirmation name in there because I'm an absolute banger. And I'm here to speak about some movie news. Tonight, slightly sore arm after I got a vaccination, my second jab in the course of the last 8 weeks. Slightly sore arm, hopefully very much compos mentis, very much able to speak about movie news. And the headline on the show tonight is one that caught my drift, if you'd like, when I was searching for movie news topics. I want to say 4 hours ago, and it was Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney over some issues regarding the releasing strategy of her latest and last Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, Black Widow. I'm going to bring this up because this eloquently puts it into black and white more than I could ever hope to utter out of my mouth. That's not to say I'm an uneloquent individual, that I am not a good orator, because I like to think that I am a pretty good fucking speaker and rather eloquent when I want to be. But this is, putting it in black and white, so I'll read this because I'm a lazy shit. Black Widow was originally meant to release in May 2020. I'm going 2/3 of the way down the paragraph because the stuff up the top is not relevant to what I'm speaking about on the show tonight, but was delayed multiple times due to the pandemic, which apparently doesn't exist if you read YouTube comments, and I have been arguing with them today because I'm just an argumentative sort of guy. When Marvel officially kicked off Phase 4 of the MCU with WandaVision on Disney+, they seemingly made the decision to move full steam ahead with their release plans. Let's get that down a little bit because it's the next 2 paragraphs that I'm really intrigued by, and this really uncovers the dirt behind this whole lawsuit. This included the release of Black Widow, and many wondered if Disney could decide to premiere the movie on their streaming service akin to the releases of Mulan and Soul in 2020. I was one of those people that pondered, could they release it on the streaming service, because my answer to that was, the movie's old, it's old news, she's dead. Having watched the movie now, I understand why they decided to take the course of action they did. Ultimately, the studio decided to do just that, releasing Black Widow in the theatres and on Disney Plus simultaneously. They did so through their Premier Access platform, which charges subscribers an additional $29.99 for access to the film. Throughout the pandemic, the streaming release of blockbusters has been a point of contention for many in the industry. Yes, Denis Villeneuve, Chris Nolan, a few other people whose names are not coming to my mind at the moment. It's been a point of contention. A lot of people rubbed up the wrong way by this notion of reducing the theatrical window to being non-existent, in a sense. Simultaneous, concurrent releases. A lot of people have been pissed off with it. And look, I'm not a movie insider. I don't create movies as a business. And I'm pissed off with it because, look, there's magic surrounding going to see a movie in the theatres. When you take that away, when you give that I don't know what you'd even call it, dual option of being able to watch it in the house, some people are lazy and they will not want to go to the theatres. And I think that's a tragedy. And I understand it's a health crisis and it's a pandemic and people don't want to go out in case they end up catching a virus and dying. Absolutely fucking fine. But we'll get to that, Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, WSJ, Johansson has filed a lawsuit against Disney and Marvel in Los Angeles Superior Court, citing that the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus as a breach of contract. This is due in part to the fact that Johansson's salary is contingent on the box office success of the film, something that could be hindered by the film's release on the streamer. That shouldn't be the case, but we'll get into it. The suit says, in part, Disney intentionally induced Marvel's breach of the agreement without justification in order to prevent Miss Johansson, it blows my mind she's still a miss, maybe that's, her choice, from realising the full benefit of her bargain with Marvel. Marvel and Disney have yet to comment on the situation. Just press that little macro there so I don't get the introduction again. Absolutely shocking state of affairs, I have to say, for them to be treating an actor of this calibre, an actor that has gave so much to this franchise, to this studio over the years, been a big part in drawing in a certain element of the demographic just for her looks alone. But then she is a tantalising and compelling character when you actually see her in this interconnected cinematic universe, what she's grown to over the years, over the course of the last 11-12 years. She's gave so much for this character and aligned the pockets of this studio, and for them to then delay the release of a standalone movie not once but twice, I think, and just delay the actual making of it for a decade anyway. It was an intriguing character that deserved to have its story told, and when you actually watch Black Widow, that bears fruit because it's a very intriguing story, this upbringing, the Red Room, how they treated these young girls. And then that relationship between her and Yelena, it was a tantalising watch. I keep using tantalising. It was a very interesting watch. And it should have been done maybe earlier. So they delay the actual making of the movie until she's already dead as a character and it's almost irrelevant for her, not for Yelena and Red Guardian. And then when they do release it, they're screwing over the main actor, the leading actress, if you'd like, Scarlett Johansson, by not giving her due deserts, the money she deserves. Now look, they say there that because it's been released on the streamer, that is perhaps conflicting with the contract and they have got a get out of paying her what she deserves off the box office. My argument to that would be that's completely wrong, and I'm sure the Superior Court of Los Angeles will look at it that way as well. Obviously Disney will have covered their arses. They're a huge corporation, and they, I'm sure, will have a way out of this. I'm sure they'll end up not paying any money to Scarlett Johansson in this lawsuit, but I think morally they should be obliged to pay a cut of those $29.99 premium access pay points. They should be able to find it within themselves to actually give her a cut of that. She's the leading actress. She's the reason people are going to watch this fucking movie. It's for her. It's not yet for Yelena. And I think it's so wrong that they are using a loophole to get out of paying this actress what she deserves. And look, hats off to Scarlett Johansson for taking a stand here. She's an accomplished actor. She has a standing in this industry. She's accomplished so much over her career, and you've got to respect the fact she's taking a stand here. I know it's just for self-gain. She wants to get her money that she deserves, but I like to feel that this, much like in football, I'm going to go to a footballing term, the Bosman rule, she trailblazes for other actors and other people within the industry, so that if a studio tries this again in the future, they'll get slapped about and told, nope, you have to pay the actor a cut of it. So she's becoming this sort of pioneer and trailblazing figure in this regard, because I fundamentally believe that these studios, after this pandemic is over, will not resort to the old template of releasing movies. I think there will be some skullduggery involved in release strategies. I think we will see movies going on the streaming service, if not on the same day, within a 2-3 week period. That will cut the knees out from under the actual theatres, and it will, be interesting to see how they evolve the contracts. I'm sure I read somewhere that they were already changing contracts of these Marvel actors to obviously reflect this new climate where movies are going on the streaming service the same day as the theatres. I just feel like the acting talent deserves to get a cut off of that $29.99 premium point on the streaming service. If you're selling it, you're not having to give a cut of that to the theatres. You're taking it all for your own. They should be obliged to give the actors a cut of that. So fair play to Scarlett Johansson for taking a stand here. And I just think, again, as a wider issue, this will maybe be a shot fired across the brows. I don't know what the fucking saying is. I'm terrible with sayings. Shot fired across the brows. You know what I mean? Of these studios, when they start thinking up mischievous little plans of cutting maybe the theatres out and releasing it isn't in this sort of dual release strategy. This may be a warning shot. Maybe we'll see the likes of Denis Villeneuve coming out and doing this if they try it with Dune. I'm absolutely certain. I'm trying to remember the actual name of the studio involved in that. Is it Sigma? I don't think it's Sigma. But there's an actual studio involved in financing Dune. We're pissed off, actually. There was talk of legal lawsuits getting filed against Warner Brothers and HBO Max. AT&T is this umbrella company. And also Denis Villeneuve penned an open letter. Chris Nolan was absolutely apoplectic about it as well. I'm certain that this is just the beginning of this sort of lawsuit stuff happening. I think Nolan will walk away from Warner Brothers. This could be the beginning of these studios realising that it's a fucking bad idea to release movies so closely together outside a pandemic on a streaming service whilst it's also in the theatres. It's cannibalising the profits. It's bad for the movie theatres. It's bad for the studios. It's bad for the fucking actors. They're not getting paid. It just reeks of amateur. And I expect more from Disney, a company of that standing, supremely rich. Everyone in every company has took a hit in this pandemic, unless you're a super rich billionaire who seems to fucking get more money out of it, like Jeff Bezos. And I understand it may be low in funds for Disney's standards, but come on, fuck, you've got to pay talent like Scarlett Johansson. It's disgraceful. But look, moving on to the next topic. That was a headline, and I'm so impressed by Scarlett Johansson that not only is she an incredible looking woman, an incredible actor, an incredible, clearly, business mind because she's doing this, but that she also has the actual convictions to take on a company which has probably been good to her over the last 10 years, and she's absolutely taking them to the cleaners. Well done, Scarlett Johansson. Moving on to the next topic though, it's The Green Knight, a movie which is also filling a foul to release strategies. It's been taken out of the theatres over here in the United Kingdom. It's going to release solely on a streaming service. I'm not quite sure which streaming service yet that actually is releasing on, but it get took out of the theatres. Its theatrical run get cancelled. And there is some reviews coming in, the very first reviews indeed, coming in for this Dev Patel movie, and they are synonymously, is that even the right word? I don't think synonymously is the right word. My brain's kind of not working tonight. It's probably the vaccine, I'll blame it on that. It's probably just me. They are universally, that's the correct choice of word, praising Dev Patel's performance. This doesn't surprise me, man. I have watched the trailers for this movie. It's very much a Dev Patel movie, an Arthurian, I think they call it, adventure, and he looked fantastic. I was really excited to see this movie in the theatres. It's an A24 movie. I've seen it at a bucket load of A24 movies now, and I just know they're an esteemed studio. I'm about to react to a trailer. I've not yet done it. I may actually be a topic in this show, incidentally. I don't know if I've kept it in. I've not done it yet. If I have kept it in, then I'll just quit it, because I was supposed to react to them before I came on. And if I've also not reacted to it, I've not seen the trailer yet, I'm not going to fucking speak about it. But it's Lamb. It's an Icelandic movie, horror movie, involving lambs. Funnily enough, who would have thought it? And it's coming from A24. And it looks so good. And I'm loving what I'm reading in the actual article about it. So they're an esteemed studio. And I was looking forward to seeing yet another hit from them. Not to be though, I'll just have to watch it in the streaming service and still see another hit from them. But yeah, the very first reviews are coming in for this movie. And I'm going to read a couple of them, because that's what I do when reviews come in. And that's what Stephen did yesterday with the Suicide Squad. And this is the first one. I don't know who it's coming in from. Let's see if they gave credit to them. They have not gave credit. I don't think. They haven't, so let's just read it. The Green Knight is thus both a student of the past and a well-meaning raider of it. This is a film which will honour a story J.R.R. Tolkien singled out as one of the greatest works of English literature. As well as gracefully deconstruct it, there's a singular, faintly mad vision at playing Lowry's The Green Knight, and it's led to one of the best films ever adapted from Arthurian lore. That sounds absolutely magnificent to me. As someone who likes kind of fantastical period kind of movies, that sounds like music to my ear. And again, Dev Patel getting praised to high heavens. I'm sure we'll get to that as we go through these reviews. Has this guy ever made a bad movie, incidentally? I don't think I've ever seen this guy in a bad movie. This is the next review. A time when Hollywood has become obsessed with the one-dimensional portrayals of superheroism, it's a balm to see a director working in a similarly epic register to expose the fault lines of our adopted mythologies. Leisurely, I can never say that word, leisurely, but never lugubrious, sorry. Big fancy fucking words, I don't even know what that means. I'll have to search that up after the show. Lugubrious. The film gives grounds for Gawain's conflicted ambitions by placing him in a primeval realm matching his sought-after stature. Again, sounds like music to my ears, man. I'm loving the concept. I'm loving the big fancy words being utilised by this geezer. Who is it? It's the Guardian. Surprise, surprise. The Gruniad, who are actually famous for typing typos. The Gruniad, that's a famous nickname. Using big fancy names like words like lugubrious. Well done. You've come along in the course of the last 20-30 years. Well done, The Guardian. This is the next one. The Green Knight is truly astounding, defying these standards for the Arthurian legends adaptations. It heavily favours atmosphere and mood over action and monologues. Substantial performances married with director David Lowry's sumptuous style to create a sumptuous style. What a lovely bit of sentence there. A lovely bit of English. Fantastic. This is why I love the English language. There is some fantastic languages throughout the world. Italian, probably the best. Tamil, as I've since discovered in the last 6-7 months. And of course German, a language I truly love as well. French, who can forget French? But there's just something about the English language. It delivers words like sumptuous that just roll off your tongue. It is a magnificent language, and it's a true privilege to read this out. Nearly had a stroke there saying that. Yes, essential, less about story than the experience. If you can get on the wavelength of such an artful quest, you'll be rewarded. Once you've found that footing, The Green Knight is a heart-rattling, loins-riling, I can't speak tonight, loins-riling and head-spinning trip that packs a profound punch. A profound punch, a loins-riling, heart-rattling experience. That sounds like fucking music to my ears again, man. Look, I looked at the trailer, it looked like a brilliant fantasy movie, and Dev Patel looked brilliant as that leading role, and he's done it before in many movies from young to old, and good to see that he's getting another chance to really act in the spotlight. I know he did another movie, he done another one, I think it was the History of David Copperfield or something like that came out fairly recently. Not seen that one yet, I'm going to give that a bash as well. This is the last one I'm going to read before I move on, because I feel like it's bogging down a little bit, and I don't want to get bogged down. I want to move on quickly. I've only got 5 topics tonight though, so it's not an issue if it does get bogged down slightly. Not for me, but maybe if someone comes in and ganders over what I'm saying, they maybe get a little bit bored and fuck off. They tend to do that anyway. Hypnotic from its fiery start to its gut punch of a finale, and polished with a hint of heavy metal that makes the whole thing shimmer in the darkness like a black light poster in the basement of your friend's parents' house. The Green Knight might ride into theatres in 600 years worth of unsettled history. It's not riding into theatres over here, you fucker. But Lowry makes it feel brand new by resaddling it as a personal story about someone who's just trying to become the kind of man he can live with, even if it kills him. I love that line. Just try to become the kind of man he can live with, even if it kills him. Isn't that a brilliant piece of English again? Doesn't that just perfectly conjure up mental images of what this movie's all about? I cannot wait to see this movie, man. I was speaking about it fairly recently regarding the theatre release being cancelled over here in the United Kingdom. Still don't know where it's coming out in terms of streaming service here, but as soon as it does come out, I am going to be watching it as soon as it releases, be it premium price point, be it just fucking streaming. Really excited for this movie, man. Loved the trailer. I want to say about a year ago I watched the trailer, maybe even further back, and I cannot wait to see what A24 and Lowry and Dev Patel have produced for this movie. I'm getting concerned that I'm about to click off topics here, man, and I don't want to be doing that. Where is my mouse cursor? I don't know why I struggle with this every single fucking show. Moving on to the third topic on the show. and it's all about A24. I says I was going to speak about this. I simply can't speak about this because I have not got round to reacting to the trailer. I can't speak about a trailer I've not watched yet. I was out cycling and I've been watching the movie we're going to be reviewing tomorrow, which is 96. Incidentally, I'll just take a little break to speak about that before I move on to the fourth topic in the show, because I can't speak about that one. We're going to be reviewing a movie called 96 tomorrow. Me, Stephen, and we're getting Ruth Aaron on again. She's been on a couple of times. Very insightful mind. Incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to Indian movies, and movies in general, incidentally. But knows a lot more about Indian movies than we could ever hope to. And hopefully one day I can get to that level. She recommended, no she didn't, she actually compiled a list of 5 movies. We put it to the community. They voted on a series of VG Sethi movies, and they voted overwhelmingly for this movie, 96. I am about an hour and 35 minutes into this movie, and I have to say, it is absolutely sublime. A sublime romantic movie. And look, I'm not someone who usually goes for romantic movies, but this is special. And the acting is phenomenal, not just from the older actors like Trisha and VG Sethi, but from the younger actors who are telling the story in flashback form. A stunning movie. Stunning. And I just hope it holds to the end in that last hour or so, hour and 20 minutes. Because if it does, I tell you, there may be a fuss for me in terms of ratings on our movie reviews. A fucking incredible movie. And once again, confirming to me that VG Sethi is an absolute phenom when it comes to acting. There's so many, I just can't wait to speak about it. So many moments. Unbelievable movie. If you want to hear about that review, come here tomorrow. Suck at 9 o'clock and we'll be reviewing that movie. Moving on to the next topic though. It's the fourth topic. It's regarding Netflix and their pie in the sky fantasy talk of trying to woo Christopher Nolan to their streaming service to make a movie for them. This is coming in from Cinema Blend, and as you can see, it's actually been the Netflix exec. I don't think it's Ted Sarandos. It may be. We will get to it and see who it is. So let's zoom in, because I can't see that. My geriatric eyes cannot see that. I certainly can't read that either, though. So let's get into it. Despite Christopher Nolan being an ardent supporter of the big screen experience, Netflix movie chief Scott Stuber, it isn't Ted Sarandos, is hopeful that he might have a chance of bringing Nolan aboard the streaming service. Especially following Netflix forging a deal with Steven Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment, as the executive told Variety. They did forge a deal with Amblin Entertainment. I think there's been some backtracking since then though, so you have to kind of go in and fix that one. They forged a deal with his production company. I don't think Spielberg is actually going to be making movies for Netflix. There's a difference. It's like Amazon Prime forging a deal with Bad Robot. It's J.J. Abrams' production company. That doesn't mean that J.J. Abrams is going to be directing movies for Amazon Prime. You've got to see the distinction there. And ultimately that's why that's a fucking nonsense, that analogy they've just used there. Going on to the quote though, this is coming in from this Stuber guy. If and when he comes up with his new movie, it's about, can we be a home for it? Nope. And what would we need to do to make that happen? Spend a lot of fucking money that you haven't got, because you've got other people to pay for. He's an incredible filmmaker. I'm going to do everything I can. In this business, I've learned you need to have zero ego and get punched and knocked down and get back up. Well, you need to have zero ego in this case, my friend, because if you go knocking on Christopher Nolan's doors, asking him to put his next movie on a streaming service, I think you're going to get punched literally right out the door. This guy is very forthright in his views about cinema and how it should be consumed and how it should be made. He's a passionate man about the theatre-going experience, as am I, incidentally, and I am not a filmmaker of his esteem. And I just cannot see a universe in which Christopher Nolan ever makes a movie straight, directly for Netflix. It may be the case in 10 years' time that some of his movies, they may already have been on Netflix, I don't know. I tend to watch his movies within my actual collection. I don't tend to go onto Netflix to watch Chris Nolan movies. There may be movies on Netflix that Chris Nolan has been responsible for, but he hasn't made them to go direct to Netflix, and I think that's the distinction. I don't think there's ever going to be a day where a director of Christopher Nolan standing, who is so passionate about consuming movies in theatres, puts one of his movies on the stream service. They can pay him $400-500 million. I just don't think it's going to happen. The guy is passionate and he is principled, and look, you've got to respect that. In an era where you've got Martin Scorsese having to make movies on Netflix because no studio will back him, because he is taking on projects that are very ambitious, like The Irishman, 3-hour movies that feature de-aging of guys who are in their 70s. When you've got a place like that, dealing with esteemed directors like Martin Scorsese, and you've got a place the Coen brothers deal with it. Paul Greengrass deals with these companies. And even Steven Spielberg's production companies do deals with with this sort of stream service. You've got to respect the fact that someone like Nolan still exists, that someone like perhaps Denis Villeneuve still exists, Tarantino to a lesser extent still exists, because he did get into bed with them and do The Hateful Eight as a TV sort of series, a mini-series. You've got to respect the fact that these guys are still championing the existence of theatres and getting their movies out there and getting people to go into that communal experience and share the one appreciation, the one love, being whisked off for 2-3 hours to another universe, no distractions, no lights, just sitting in a nice black theatre, getting torn into popcorn and consuming an incredible fucking story. That's the way it should be. That's the way Nolan movies should always be consumed. That's the way I'm going to consume Dune when it comes out later this year. I'm going to a fucking IMAX theatre to watch it. I certainly wouldn't watch it on Netflix, and it would be absolute blasphemous actions from Nolan if he was to put his movies on Netflix. So it shouldn't happen. It won't fucking happen. It's pie in the sky. Scott Stuber, is it? I'm going to check his name again. Is it Scott Stuber? Scott Stuber, you are living in Fantasyland, my friend. It is not going to happen. And thank fuck for that. Moving on to the final... No, you know what? We'll go right back to that. I've got a connected topic that I actually want to touch upon briefly regarding Netflix. And it is this one. They are the first studio involved in the film industry, who are mandating COVID vaccines for the entire production cast and crew. Which means if you are stepping onto a set of a new production for Netflix, you have to be double vaxxed to work for the studio. I don't think this is applicable to current productions before this was mandated. I think they've got some rules that can be bent for cast and crews are currently working on projects for them. But in the future, they're going to require cast and crew to be double vaccinated. I don't actually think there's any quotes here. I'm pretty sure there isn't. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, that they're the very first studio that are mandating it. And this is an industry, you need to remember, which has got a lot of young cast, a lot of young crew, people in their 20s, teens sometimes, maybe even 30s. And in some industries, or in some countries I should say, they've not got around to vaccinating these people yet. And I don't know what the case is over in the States. I know they were vaccinating at an incredible rate. And as a 32-year-old guy, I've just had my second vaccination. So I'm acutely aware that there's people younger than me, maybe in this industry, who are not going to have access to a vaccine yet, and therefore maybe denied work for also a studio like Netflix. And I think that is morally, debatable, to say the least. Now, I'm someone who's firmly for vaccines, for protecting the vulnerable in society and allowing life to get back to a degree of normality sooner rather than later. But even I'm saying that is morally ambiguous, to say the least, from Netflix to mandate a double vax. This isn't an industry where you're working with healthcare with vulnerable people. This is an industry with young, vibrant people, super fit, working in movies. I don't know about that, man. I think you should hold off with stuff like that for quite a few months yet, until every single person who could potentially work for them has had a chance to get vaccinated. I think that is, interesting and dubious as fuck. But I'm moving on to the final topic, man. I've got 2 topics up here. Really? I've got 2 topics up. It's regarding the Suicide Squad. We were actually speaking about this last night. This was the headline of our show last night. It's incredible that I can remember things like that now. That we spoke about the Suicide Squad and the Predator sequels and Die Hard 6 getting cancelled. But I'm actually speaking straight after it last night and rounding the show up. I completely fucking forgot. It's incredible how my brain works at times. But yes, it's probably because I've had a lot of sugar today. As one of the commenters says, take some sugar in the tea. It certainly does work. I've had coffee, I've had fucking malt loaves, all sorts of shenanigans going on, and currently drinking a nice little German Spätzle. And if you don't know what a Spätzle is, I'll go off on a tangent briefly to try and share the love for this. It is 1/3 Fanta, 2/3 Coca-Cola, Diet Coke in my case, Coke Zero, and absolutely fucking mind-blowing how good it is. It shouldn't work, but it really does work. It's Coke with a little hint of orange in it. It's fucking special. That aside, man, we were speaking about this last night. I briefly mentioned this as a little aside as we're moving on to the second topic last night, that was holding an incredibly high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was 98% at that point, 50 odd reviews in. I think it's now up to 62. Did I read 62 a good 4 hours ago? What? 68 reviews currently submitted to Rotten Tomatoes, and it is now holding a score of 99%. Remarkable score for this movie. And they are saying it could make history. It could be one of the highest rated, if not the highest rated comic book movies. And that kind of blows my mind. I'm kind of paraphrasing that incident. Highest rated superhero movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes. What a fucking achievement that would be for James Gunn. Making that first step over to DC, doing work for them, solely having worked with Marvel prior to that in terms of superhero movies at least, for him to go and create a movie from the foundations of a movie which was an absolute abject failure and drew derision from all forms of society in terms of film fans, for him to take it from that and polish that turd into something really special, I think that speaks volumes for this guy in terms of his mind, his screenwriting, his brilliance in filmmaking. And this is ultimately why Marvel should work fucking incredibly hard to get this guy hammered down and doing more movies for them, because if he makes a jump to DC and he becomes their sort of Kevin Feige figure in terms of superhero movies, my fucking god, man, we're going to have a battle for the ages in terms of Marvel and DC. And I almost want that to happen, because I'm as big a DC fan as I'm a Marvel fan. I just can't get Batcapes in here to put as props. I would love to. I'm as a big a fan as DC stuff as Marvel, so I want to see them really on their A game again, like the way when Nolan was doing stuff. And to an extent, when I like Man of Steel, when Man of Steel and stuff like that was coming out and it was looking a little bit better for Snyder in that universe. I'm wanting that. But yeah, man, incredible. If they actually do get that rating, that would be unbelievable for that movie. And again, it would be a nice little slap in the face to some people who are going about wishing this movie would fail and suggesting that it would be an absolute disaster. It's not looking like that's going to be the case. It's looking like it's unbelievably fucking good. Cannot wait to go see this movie on Sunday, incidentally. I'm going to go on Sunday and watch this in the theatre. Really looking forward to it, man. But look, the little interconnected topic I was going to speak about again, it's just, there's a couple of these articles coming out and they lead up to this movie hitting the theatres here, and it's a series of actors really speaking about how it was an absolute pleasure to work with this guy behind the camera, in front of the camera, just being involved in his process of making movies. In this particular article, I'm picking out the Javelin actor, who is Flula Borg. What a fucking name that is, by the way. What a name that is. Wow. Is he Swedish by any chance? I'm actually going to find that out just now. Bear with me. I actually need to find that information out. Where is he? Flula Borg. Is he Swedish? Is he Norwegian? Let's find out, shall we? What does that say there? I can't read that. He's German. Wow. Doesn't sound German. What a name. What a yeah. There was a Borg, wasn't there? There was a Borg, I'm sure there was. And he was Swedish. Am I thinking about the tennis player? Was he Borg? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Moving on. He's been speaking about the movie and the process of working with James Gunn. And this is what he had to say. It was an interview with Screen Rant themselves, the lucky bastards getting to speak to actors. I wish that was me. And he said this: I will tell you, James Gunn can write in one page and tell you almost everything you need to know about someone. He just knows it. He knows how to boil it down like a delicious chemist and just tell you exactly. Is that right? Just tell you exactly. This is your person, this is distilled, you now grow some stuff from it. So I just used his tasty fertiliser and just irrigated my brain and then grew some things out of that. Thanks, Shane. Look, first and foremost, we have to address the brilliance of the speech here, the eloquence of this man. This guy's German and he's speaking better English than most English native people and native English speaking country people. Incredible English. You're conjuring up quite the image again. I've had the pleasure of reading some fucking tremendous English in this show tonight. Used his tasty fertiliser and just irrigated my brain and then grew some things out of that. Isn't that a wonderful piece of writing there? A wonderful piece of speech coming out of his mind. And what do you call that again when they actually write things? Verbatim? Can't fucking speak tonight. But the actual content of that, I found that very interesting. It shows you, it gives you an insight into how this guy works in his filmmaking process. He is so specific, and yet so, I don't know, what would you call it? I don't know what you'd call it. So withdrawn in terms of what he does with the actors. He gives them such a huge amount of information about the character, but then he gives them the space to actually, I don't know, ad-lib some things in and work with it and do their own thing with the character. I find that so interesting, and I think that's ultimately why guys like Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel and Zoe Saldana over on the Marvel side of things, Dave Bautista, to a lesser extent, he seems to be quite unhappy these days. Why they seem to like to work with this guy, and why the process seems to be so jovial and happy, and why that seems to manifest itself in the actual movies, because when you watch the movies, you just get the sense that it's been a brilliant experience crafting it. And getting off on a slight tangent, that's why I'm supremely fucking excited for Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. Despite the negative press that's coming out against that movie about Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves having a terrible relationship, not wanting to work again, that's fucking nonsense coming straight from a Tadger like Doomcock. I can't recall the actual guy's name, I think it's a Skarsgård perhaps, came out and says it was like a Pixies concert. The energy, the vibe behind the camera, that can only aid an actor and their performance, when they're getting on with the cast, when they're getting on with the director, they're buying into this guy's vision, and they're so fucking happy that they're actually irrigating their brain and growing things from it. That can only aid the performance and make the movie something special. I fundamentally believe that this movie is going to be incredible. I think it can become the highest rated superhero movie on Rotten Tomatoes, and I am supremely excited to see James Gunn's next vision, next movie, and what he's going to bring to the future for DC, and perhaps Marvel jointly. But that's going to round the show up. What is your thoughts on the topics I've touched upon on the show tonight? What do you make about Scarlett Johansson suing Disney all the way to fucking the Superior Court in Los Angeles, taking them to the cleaners, hopefully, because they're not paying her for that sneaky little release on Disney Plus, that premium access pay point of $30. They're not sharing the love with it. They're not having to pay the theatres. They're not paying fucking anyone. It's going straight into Bob Chapek's pocket. What do you make about the Green Knight? Is it the Green Knight? Even now I'm blanking. It's the Green Knight, isn't it? The Green Knight, the Dev Patel movie, which I was waxing lyrically about but just forgot the name of. It always happens at the end of the shows. What do you make about those early reviews coming in and actually praising Dave Patel to high heavens, and the movie as well in general? What do you make about the other topics I've touched upon, including that one right at the end there? You can comment down below if you've got anything to say at all about the Suicide Squad, anything in between. And you can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel and hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future. And you'll get me and Stephen back tomorrow with Ruth reviewing the great Tamil movie 96, starring the equally great Trisha, and VG Sefi Bavi. You want to see that? You can stick around and subscribe. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. I'll not be offended. Bye bye, guys. I'm done. Bye. Incredibly happy. Post vaccine. I don't know how long it's going to last. I was quite fucking happy after the first one, and then I went off a cliff for half a day. Pray for me. Bye, guys. Bye, driver. Bye.